to open our hymnals again. To page, in this case, 254 in the right column. And we're going to add a few more moves into Chess Openings Wizard. So let's get the screen share running. And do it. Yes. That'd be nice. Share it. Makes me click everything here. Okay, good. So there we are, running Chess Openings Wizard where we left off. So we left off with knight e2, and white is finally getting his pieces out. So, and we're still hoping that we're better here as black, or at least drawish as black, right? So after knight e2, we're going to look at some new moves. So after knight e2, the author recommends bishop d7. At this point, the bishop is now hanging. The bishop on b8 is now hanging, but there's not a whole lot that white can do about it. Bishop e7 is holding on to actually d7 is holding on to the pawn on b5. So that if our bishop comes back and recaptures that pawn, then, well, everything's held. Everything's good. So there's what white tries. He tries c3. That's it. And we could take this, right? It looks like we could take this, but the author is recommending still harassing the queen, bishop a3. So that's the recommendation, and the engines tend to agree with him. So after that, then he tries e4, trying to kick that knight. At this point, here is the novelty. He has it marked in N in his book, so it's never been seen before in play. Knight e7. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. We started with 41 positions, so let's take a look at file about this ebook. 41 plus 5 is now 46 positions. We just did our homework, except, of course, we want to go back in and add emotionally intense comments for these moves if we're not likely to remember them. Like, why would we play bishop a3 rather than just snagging another pawn on c3? We should put in a comment as to why. Very important. You probably remember this from the very first few episodes, and I want to harp on this because it is what is critical to your training. You can say, okay, I'm done because it was really fast. Take the extra minute and a half that it would take you to come up with a why. Why am I playing this? And if you can add an emotionally intense part of the comment, you're more likely to remember the why. And if you're adding a why, you understand something about the position, even if the why is as simple as, I'm just following Larry Kaufman's recommendation. So there we go. We got another 5 positions. So there we go. Over to face the Facebooks and see if I can actually see anyone who's left a comment or a question. Tom Ewald actually asked a question about when do the informant rate symbols change? Well, the short version is they change whenever you change them because they don't automatically synchronize with centipawns. So let's start with centipawns. So we're looking at engine analysis, right? So for instance, this position is marked as slightly advantageous for black, but we don't know the centipawn rating. If we click on starting an engine here, oh, it's upset at me for a second, but there goes the engine. So the engine is, try to get this guy out of my way. There's a window in my way that you can't see. So it's saying right now that it's 0 and sometimes -10, depending on the line. It's popping up now. It's back to -10. So what does negative mean? Negative means it's in favor of black. 10 is in centipawns. So you need, in a centipawn system, you need 100 points for a pawn. So if it thought black was a pawn up, it would show me something on the order of -100. That's about a pawn good for black. If it was positive 100, about a pawn good for white. So right now it's still bobbling between, you can't probably read the engine analysis, but between 0, oh, now actually went to -18 with its latest line. So that's what's going on. But nothing's going to change the informant rate symbol. Let's say we think the engines are on drugs, which anymore they probably aren't. They're probably smarter than we are, most likely smarter than we are. But we could know that, hey, this is a winning endgame that the engine can't see. So we can put, clear advantage for white or black, or a complete win for white or black in the informant symbols because we understand how to win that ending, where the engine may not be able to see it because it doesn't have an in-game table base at this point or what have you. So there are cases like that where we are smarter than the engines. But generally speaking, the engines are smarter than us. So what if this guy went off the rails and said, oh my God, this guy went off the rails, 300. And we look at our, our informant symbols and it says equals. It's not going to change unless we change it. In the professional system, I'm running Express right now just for demonstration purposes, right? Because most people are using the Express version. But the professional version has a way of finding novelties as a novelty finder. Go in the commands menu and keep scrolling down till you see the novelty finder. What it will do is comb through your entire opening, looking for positions within a certain range that have their informant range symbols that don't quite match up to the computer assessments. So if you computer analyze the entire database overnight, which is again something the professional system can do, and you have your informant rate symbol set and you like them to jive, there's a system that will do that. Also, it's called a novelty finder, because what happens is if a human annotator says, this is equals, this is what usually happens, but the computer goes, oh no, it's busted. You're dropping a piece here. You just haven't seen this line yet. So if the equals informant symbol is there, but you have a centipon rating that might be a plus 150 or higher, or negative 150 or lower, far from equals, far from zero where you expect it to be, it'll put those positions in a list for you to check the next day. It'll do overnight analysis and do that. So that's one of the power tools inside the professional version. Most people don't need that kind of thing, but boy, once you get to use it, you wonder how you lived without it. So okay, so we covered a question about Chess Openings Wizard Professional and what Chess Openings informant symbols contrasted with centipon ratings, which are always computer ratings, and we added 5 positions a day. Do I need to remind you about how most class players think they know a few hundred positions and actually probably know anywhere from 70 to 90? And if we can take that realistic 70 to 90 positions, or 200 if you really think you know 200, and if we can take you to 1,500 positions in 300 days just by adding 5 new positions a day, the difference in your playing strength at 1,500 positions that you know versus generously 200 positions that most class players know, a world of difference. So keep at it, and we'll be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern time. And if you've read my emails, you know that after that, I'm taking a long vacation, at least 4 days. 4 days with my grandkids in Florida. We just might see Disney World. Don't tell anybody. It's a surprise. So I'll look for you guys at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and I'm out.